We are live.
Wagwan, bitches. YTSN pod, back at again. Emerson and Joe, let us go.
Yes, indeed. This is Taskmaster Season 5, Episode 8, the grand finale of this season for both the show and the podcast. Today's episode is titled, Their Water's So Delicious.
Absolutely. I am absolutely ecstatic that we have made it through 5 series of this podcast. How are you feeling about that?
It is great. We've been doing this for over a year. This is fun.
Yeah, literally, Joe and I have been pouring blood, sweat, and tears into this podcast. Well, me more so than him, because I
was going to say,
as well.
where the hell is the blood? There was no blood.
I mean,
are you bleeding for this?
The first time we have blood shed on the podcast will be a big one. Before we discuss the episode, I was wondering maybe we could have some on-air discussions of how to shake up things for Series 6 beyond. Although we're not going to go immediately into Series 6. We'll be talking about that a bit.
Champions.
But something else, which we will talk about later.
Oh, the suspense.
Do you have any idea what it is, Joe?
I'm assuming Taskmaster USA, maybe.
Bingo.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, because timeline-wise, Taskmaster USA would be right after Champion of Champions and before Series 6. We might change the format a little bit. I was thinking Joe could host the entire 4-part miniseries by himself.
I absolutely would be honored to host that. You could totally come in and just be the confused British man, which is what I think. Who was in that? Freddie Highmore? I think that was his role.
Although to be fair though, Alex is, yeah. I say 4-part miniseries, even though there's 8 episodes. But what the US version does is that it airs 2 half-hour episodes, like back to back.
That show is going to be an absolute garbage fire to talk about.
So I don't think it'd be. We shouldn't hurt our audience for longer than the show goes on for. I think we should definitely do 2 episodes back to back because they're only half an hour.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that one's going to be fun to do. That one's going to just be so bad.
Yeah, it'll be.
I actually haven't seen it other than a few clips. And I'm just so not looking forward to how bad it's going to be.
I wonder if the episodes are still on YouTube. They weren't uploaded by an official Taskmaster channel, but by... I want to get their name right if they have. But...
you can access them via the high seas, me hearty. Pirate them. Yar.
Yar.
I actually can access them legitimately because my parents have cable, so I can get them through Comedy Central's website.
Oh, well, I can't find them on YouTube right now, but whatever it is, I'll find a way. Speaking of YouTube, the official Taskmaster YouTube channel did a very, very weird thing.
Oh, no.
And that
what did they do?
So in the UK, the episodes uploaded to the Taskmaster YouTube channel are region locked because it would be pointless to have them on both the YouTube channel and All 4 or Channel 4. Series 1 to 5 are now available in the UK on YouTube by the official channel. And I do not know why this decision...
Have they maybe taken them off of All 4? Or were they never on All 4 to begin with? Because...
Oh, no. When Taskmaster moved to All 4, starting with Series 10, Series 1 through 9 and Champion of Champions went there as well.
Maybe they've just reached the bottom of their accounting cycle. Like maybe the assets have depreciated so much that it's not worth it to just have it on All 4.
No, it's still there. All 12 series are still there.
No, I meant like to have it exclusively. Like maybe maybe like the value to advertisers has depreciated to the point where they're going to make more money off of UK YouTube ad sales than they would off of having it as an All 4 exclusive.
That's a possibility. Now we're going to talk.
I have a business degree. I know about this sort of shit.
I mean, I don't think we could possibly I can't. I don't think I could possibly let Joe host all of the Taskmaster USA miniseries by himself, because that would just be unfair on him. But
The
I think
Taskmaster series, the Taskmaster USA episodes would be 95 minutes long each then. There would be very little... we wouldn't actually talk about
the episodes of the podcast, or the episodes, the amount of time we spend on each episode.
If this is Joe left alone, this would be Taskmaster USA episode 1 is just a live stream that goes on for like 6 hours.
I mean, that could be we could possibly start Patreon content with series from series 6. Maybe we could like edit all our banter out at the beginning, and you can get the unedited versions if you subscribe to our Patreon for $2 a month.
I don't like paywalling shit. I like having it so that like people can get bonus stuff, but not paywalling content of the episode.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we won't paywall that. We will. What about, say we have we start with one tier for like $2 a month. You'll get a personal shout out in the episode, and you could send us a funny message, and you can also get access to me and Joe watching along movies.
We can definitely try that. But again, this depends on you, the audience. Do you want a Patreon? Do you not want a Patreon? Tell us in the comments. Email us. Find Emerson and harass him in the streets.
Joe, if we keep doing things for the audience, they will never get done. We need to do more things for ourselves.
Yeah, but if they don't, but the audience is the one who would pay for it, Emerson. Unless you want to launder money, at which point I am all on board for a Patreon.
I mean, my parents would probably support me.
If Emerson's got some creative money laundering going on, I want to get in on your criminal empire.
I sadly don't, but we move.
Anyways, do we want to go on to the well, actually, no. First, we have the most important thing: the floral shirt count. It is sadly at 0 today. I thought Aisling might have one, but apparently it's like some sort of like tie-dye bleach sort of pattern on her top. However, special points to Mark Watson for having an Avro Lancaster on his shirt instead. Dam Busters March and all.
Have you seen this full episode before?
No.
Okay, so we reached not completely uncharted territory, because I'm sure
last episode might have been the first bit of uncharted territory, but this one was completely new to me. However, I will say that because of various Bob Mortimer compilation videos put out by the official Taskmaster channel, that I was totally aware of Bob's entry of the graph and Song for a Stranger tasks, because those are both some of the best tasks in this season from a like sheer comedy
anyone
standpoint.
and their mother knows about the Song for a Stranger task.
The graph task has showed up a lot too.
I find that surprising. I haven't seen it a whole lot outside of this episode.
It's in the Best of Bob Mortimer compilation that Taskmaster has put out, and also it's in the I think there's a Nish Kumar compilation too, or it might have just been put up as a full episode.
Which Taskmaster contestant that hasn't had a full compilation yet deserves one?
I don't know. I'm not up to date on the full compilations.
Audience, if you have an answer, email us at ytsmpod@gmail.com. We would greatly appreciate it.
Or find Emerson in the streets and harass him.
Please don't, or else I will pepper spray you.
I feel like he lives in a redacted location in a redacted country.
I live in the UK, which isn't that redacted.
There's four different countries within that country, Emerson.
I don't know what redacted means because I'm an idiot.
It's like classified. It's like saying something, but you've bleeped it out.
Oh, okay.
I was making a joke by not actually doxing you.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I mean, to be fair, there's still about 69 million people living here in the UK.
Yes. If you are walking down a street in England and you see Emerson, who we have shown one picture of in this podcast, find him and harass him on the streets.
Well, I mean, once the video episode comes out for episode 100, our faces are probably going to be everywhere on the internet.
Mm-hmm. But yes, our pictures will be.
And I mean, a picture of you has surfaced on the podcast as well.
Yes, it has.
Also, you were in that picture. You had sunglasses on. I now cannot imagine you without sunglasses on now.
If I'm outside, that's because I don't ever take them off when I am outside. That is not at all inaccurate depiction of Joe.
Sorry if I'm moving away from my mic a little bit because I'm so poorly prepared. I have to just quickly fix something. So, Joe, take the prize task while I sort
Yes,
something out.
prize task. Today's task, bring in the most awkward item for somebody else to take home. These are great. I know that we've said that the prize tasks get increasingly worse as the show goes on. These are great. All of these are great. We start off with Mark Watson, who has brought in a full bathroom suite, fixtures only, with a toilet, a bathtub, and the sink, which is, there's not much more to be said by this. It's great. I love it. Top tier extra effort. It was a pain for him to get it into the studio, so I can't imagine having to take it home. Next we have Bob, which this is a bit more of a emotionally awkward thing. He purchased a hat some time ago that said "I heart Katie Hopkins" on it. I don't pretend to know who Katie Hopkins is, but she's apparently a very controversial figure in the United Kingdom because I've seen her come up in a lot of different comedy shows at the time. And then a shirt which says "I heart Donald Trump" on it, which this episode actually aired January 10th, 2017, just 10 days before Trump's inauguration as president of the United States. To put it very mildly, he is a very controversial figure in U.S. politics at the time. And now, Greg does say that Bob could have just put it in a bag and could have taken it home, and actually ranks him very low in this. I'm going to go no, because okay, so let me just come with me on this walk for a second. I live in a very conservative area, not going to get into politics beyond that, but if I wore this shirt down the street, I'd probably get waves and cheerful honks of support. But this is being shown in London. This is being filmed in London. If you tried to take that home in a bag, I guarantee you there would be some kind of ridiculous sitcom-esque thing where you actually where it was shown in front of people, and at which point the "why are you taking it home in a bag" starts to come up. And it's like, you're actually hiding this. You must be a racist or something like that. So that would be much more awkward than it initially appears to be. Also, if you don't have a bag because, I don't know, you're Nish Kumar and you're unprepared for anything, that would be really difficult to get that home. Speaking of Nish, his is up next. He brought in 14 kilograms of curry in a wok, which... This is an enormous wok, first of all. This is probably one of the better value. This task as a whole is probably one of the better value for money episodes because you get all this shit. But Nish, I think he could have actually made it better if he'd brought home the curry and not had the wok. Like, he takes the wok home with him and leaves you with 14 kilograms of loose curry. But this is hilariously large amount of curry, and Greg actually mimes how difficult it would be to take this on the underground, because again, a wok is an open container. There's no way you're getting a lid on that shit, and it's 3 feet wide, so you'd have to carry it really, really weird. It's heavy. For those in the US, imagine that scene from The Office with the chili, but with an even wider and shallower container. It'd be so bad. It's great. Then on to the girls. Aisling brought a giant
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
What, did you completely disconnect your microphone?
No, I muted myself while I went on a ravenous hunt for some shitty piece of fake jewelry I lost because I'm an idiot.
What does your fake jewelry have to do with with recording?
Because it was like I got like a magnetic nose ring, so it looks like a septum piercing, and one of the little screws on, because it like the little balls at the end was screwed on, so you could switch them out. And I lost one of them, and it really just kind of put me under a bit of stress
For finding a screw, and you had to do this in the middle of the. Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, I had to.
Sure. You're in England. Very brief. Who's Katie Hopkins?
So Katie Hopkins was a contestant on the UK version of The Apprentice. Not in like
What
2000.
was she famous before that, or was that her big
No,
break?
she got famous because of that.
Okay.
So she was very just like, she was famous because she, I think, was the first person to ever quit The Apprentice mid-series without being fired.
Okay.
And since then,
Why?
she just sort of went on to say a bunch of really controversial stuff.
Oh, okay. Like what? I vaguely am aware of why she's controversial.
It's hard to say because, like,
Was it something about autism, or was that some other figure?
let me read about this real quick. Katie Hopkins has been accused of racism by journalists, advocacy groups, and politicians for her comments about migrants. For a start, this article from the Mirror, which is a UK tabloid, has dubbed her the most hated woman in Britain as she breaks lockdown rules. I don't even really want to.
No. You don't have to. I just didn't know any context about her at all. So that's very helpful. Please don't leave any comments about that. Anyways, where were we? Aisling. Yes. She brought a giant cardboard cutout of herself, which is a little bit awkward, but it's probably the most easily explainable of just about anything else here. Greg has one of himself that's was for sale at £36 and has now gone down to $34.20 on Amazon, which is very funny. And then finally, Sally brought about 100 helium-filled balloons that will get men giggled at and will carry women away into the sky, so long
Like
as they weigh under 3
like
kilograms.
Like up.
Scores. Greg gives Bob 5th place because he thinks you can put him in a bag. As I said, that just leads to various sitcom-esque the situations where you will be called a racist.
Yeah.
Aisling gets 4th. Sally gets 3rd. Nish gets 2nd, and Mark gets 1st. Very good show for the two incompetents on this panel. Now, if we want to drop the Taskmaster Joe theme, I've got a bit of an unusual way of scoring these ones this time.
Okay, sorry, I'm just bringing my microphone back to my face. That wasn't the best. There we go. Just play it. Taskmaster Joe.
Right. So Aisling, I'm giving 2nd place to, because you can fold up a cardboard cutout, and carrying around a cardboard cutout is not unusual because it's immediately obvious what it was. Everybody else I'm giving joint 1st place because there is no not awkward way to carry around a 14-kilogram wok full of chili, a bathroom set, or 100 helium balloons. And then there's really no not awkward way to carry around a shirt and hat that say, I heart Katie Hopkins and I heart Donald Trump.
Yep.
Especially in a liberal area like Kent, like England. I actually went to Kent State University in the United States, and that's a very liberal campus surrounded by a very conservative, politically leaning area on 3 sides. And you occasionally got people who would come in who lived locally and were very conservative, would come in with Trump stickers and stuff and on the back of their cars. And I always was just a little in awe of those people, because if I did that, I would have gotten my car keyed immediately. Mm-hmm. And I'm amazed that these people never did, because around that time in 2016, 2017. Oh boy. Actually, a brief aside. On election night, I was in my college apartment. I ordered a pizza, stayed up because brief historical fact, we thought this was going to go to like 11 o'clock, be an easy win for Clinton, and then everyone could go to bed. 3:45 in the morning, they are wrapping this up. Trump has won. I am going downstairs to throw out the garbage, and there is just a girl. Like I don't know any of the context, but I walked by a room on the first floor because I had a third floor walk up in this place because it was and I just hear someone weeping through the door. Okay. One of my friends, I actually is very, very like left-leaning progressive, and I was trying to get their opinion on this at like 2:30, and they were already shit-faced. They didn't respond until the next day. It was for certain people, this was a very bad night for them, but we're not going to comment anymore on that. Anyways, continuing on to task 1. Emerson, that goes to you.
Okay, so the very first task, get a coconut as far from the Taskmaster house as possible without touching the ground or stepping on the same object twice. So Alex demonstrates...
The coconut may not travel by car either.
Oh, yeah, true. Alex... Are you going to talk about my task for me?
No, you were actually about to say what I was going to say. I wanted to make sure what Alex specified by you can't step on anything more than once.
So Alex demonstrates. So he gets off his chair onto the carpet of the stage, and Alex has touched it once, and he can't leave the carpet to then get back on the carpet. And he demonstrates this by climbing onto his chair. And then Greg proclaims, "Sweet butt," to him.
And smacks him on the ass. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that got said, because when I read this, my first impression would have been that you set one foot down, and by putting down the second foot, that would consider it to be a loss.
Yeah.
That would have been much harder, don't you think?
Yeah, possibly. I'm sorry. I'm just rereading over my notes. We're starting with 3 people together. We have got Nish, Ash, and Bob. I'm trying to group their names together in a funny way.
Nishling, Boshling, and Ashling.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. We'll start with Ashling. She gathers the sofa cushions, and then she throws the cushions down to make a pathway. And she makes it all the way to the back fence of the house.
Takes off her trousers again at one point to do that.
Second time this... Sorry, keep going.
This time she's wearing leggings underneath. Someone has learned.
Yes, dignity intact. And it's not the first time, as we all know, it's not the first time. Ashling, has kind of bookended the series nicely by switching between her trousers, by taking her trousers off in both the first and last episode. So good for her.
Yep. And then what does she do with the coconut?
She bowls it through the fence.
Yeah, there's like a panel that's loose or something, and she rolls it onto the golf course behind the house.
Yeah, she does. And it rolls a bit off course. It rolls because the hills, it's uphill. So it rolls sort of back down to the left a bit. And that's where it gets to. Bob does a similar thing to Ashling, except with a ream of paper, and he creates a path all the way to the front gate where there are cars on the road. And then he yeets the coconut, and it goes right into the hedge, and he exclaims, "I'm down for kill!" I mean, in all fairness...
Which is probably the most genuine emotion we've gotten out of Bob Mortimer this entire show.
Yeah, you know, people don't normally show genuine emotion until they're very, very sad. And that is kind of sad.
Yeah. It's such a bad throw, too.
Yeah, literally, it just could not have gone any worse. For Bob.
Well, it could if you were Nish.
Oh, yeah.
Which can I just point out that when he comes in initially in the beginning of the thing, he actually shouts
Initially.
"Oi, oi!" right as he walks in, and Alex just no sells him.
Nish or Bob?
Nish did that.
Going back
I
to
made a
Bob
note
for a
of it.
sec. Going back, I just want to go back to Bob for a second because I wasn't quite talking about him. In fairness to Bob, um, he was trying to throw a coconut onto a busy road where there were cars. There was probably going to
Yeah.
be some damage there, but so
Oh
thankfully it
yeah.
went into the hedge.
Oh, that would have been funny as shit if Bob had hit a truck or something. That
It
would
would
have
have
been
been.
the funniest thing I'd have ever seen.
You think it's funny to see a truck swerve out of control and then turn over
Oh,
on its side, blocking the
that's not.
road?
Oh, if it had happened, well, first of all, that's not what would have happened. Second of all, if it had happened because Bob Mortimer threw a goddamn coconut, yes, that would have been the funniest fucking thing I'd have ever seen.
I mean,
That's one of those Rube Goldberg fails. It's like, oh shit, don't. That would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. But no, that did not happen, unfortunately.
no, it did not. Back to Nish. So Nish immediately walks off the rug, to which he proclaims, and I'm not going to soundbite this because I do not want to give myself enough work, the iconic piss and shit. And so then he makes it to, makes it to the power, to the I wrote in my notes, genuinely, makes it to the power. I don't know. I think what I meant to say is the telephone tower, or whatever it is.
He doesn't even make it that far.
Well, he makes it to the door and throws the coconut. It bounces and rolls back. He could have thrown it again, and he didn't.
I know. Can we play the soundbite from the throw? Because it's so great how he throws it, and there's an audible tunk as it bounces back.
Yeah, we could do that. Sorry, I bumped my pop filter. Ah! But yeah. But if you thought Nish's attempt was bad, here comes Mark Watson. He scoots along on a couch cushion.
No, Mark's is great.
Let me get to that. Okay? Yeah, you're right. It is sad. Mark scoots along on a couch cushion, and then he hops. He gets a piggyback ride from one of the sound guys. It's all going perfect until he makes it to the bank of the Thames, where he gets off the sound guy's back, before throwing the coconut into the River Thames. And he's touched the ground twice. Mark proclaims that it will be the last thing he think about before he dies.
Well, no, he just touched the ground, which is banned because it's such a good reveal. They just pan down to his feet and he's standing on the grass.
Yeah. And there's like the from everyone.
Oh, poor Mark.
Poor Mark.
It's
indeed.
such a good idea, too.
Yeah, it was. And it just
and
just
then
didn't go right.
Onwards to actually good ideas. Sally
Phillips. She asks Alex to take the coconut to the post office and has the coconut mailed to her friend in Fiji. Now, what I've learned is that, and someone commented this on one of the Taskmaster episodes. If the task I want to read the quote out verbatim. Well, it's on the episode 2. Hang on.
Well, actually, she wanted to mail
Felipe
it to
Gauvin Valet. Sorry if I butchered your name.
Felipe
commented this on the second episode of the first series on YouTube. If I have learned anything from this show, it's that if the task forbids you something, all you have to do is politely ask Alex to do it for you.
Which, I mean, I've learned that just by watching this. I mean, I'm amazed that nobody else did this, actually. But the thing I would like to note is that Sally did not mail this to her friend in Fiji. She decided she would mail it to the Prime Minister of Fiji by just writing the address on the coconut herself, because you can actually do that. You can, at least in the United States, you can mail, self-contained
raw
things
raw coconuts.
and potatoes and stuff just by writing an address on it and then putting on the appropriate postage. It is its
That'd
own
be.
packet.
Well, sadly, that wasn't the case for here because there are a bunch of restricted items that you can't send to Fiji from the UK,
Yeah,
including coconuts. And it made it all the way to East Sheen Post Office, which,
which is a mile away, they said.
well, however long it is, it was certainly the longest distance. And as a result, Sally won the task, even though the coconut never made it to Fiji.
Yeah, and then what was the next one? Also, did she
We need
not
to.
offer Alex like in recompense a tattoo or something?
I think she did, but he
Alex
just
did
said
not take her
she
up
ended
on
up
it.
just she ended up just giving him her credit card.
Yeah.
But anyway, scores. Sally obviously gets first. Bob gets 4 points. Aisling 3. Nish gets 2. And Mark is disqualified because he touched the ground more than once. So
Yeah.
the scores as it stands are, it's quite close. We've got Sally in first place, followed by Nish, and everyone else is in joint third.
Yep.
It's on
Then
to Joe.
yes, onwards to task 2. Create the best graph. You have 20 minutes. Your time starts now. I would like to say they're back at the beach from where they had from where they've been a couple of times this season. Also, would just like to note that the drone shot that they have, because they have the commercial breaks with a drone shot this time, and it is on Alex in the boat in the lake. So that's that they must have done all at the same time. There are many different objects surrounding Alex, including a mannequin head, beach chairs, beach towels, pool noodles, balloons, plastic balls, inflatable balls, plastic shovels, buckets, boogie board, all the sort of typical beach stuff, along with mannequins and a rake. Alex lost the task, not on purpose, but he did also lose some spare change on top of it, and makes everyone metal detector for it throughout, which is, I think, one of the only times they've actually had to find the task in like all of Taskmaster. But they do get to keep the loose change, as Bob inquired. And then they do read the task. Sally sits on the mannequin's head to discuss the task with Alex and caves it in with her ass. After this, we get a brief montage of everyone making their graphs. Aisling needs to remember how graphs work. Alex and Nish have the conversation. Alex asks, "Have you started yet?" Nish says, "You can't rush genius," and Alex tells him to hurry up. Bob starts talking about piss. One of Nish's initial graphs blows away, and Sally describes a graph known simply as the Omnipurpose Jaws of Doom, which I'm sure has an actual name in statistics, but I don't care. I want it to always be called that. Anyways, we do then get to see the actual graphs. They're presented in the studio. The axes of the graph are usually added on in post-production, although Sally did label hers. Nish makes a graph out of himself and a rake, with the axis being on the vertical axis, time with Nish, and fun being on the horizontal axis, with the rake making a straight line going up at a 45-degree angle, implying that it's going up. However, I would like to point out that usually in Western societies, because we read right to left, that usually the axis is on the opposite side of the graph, because Nish's axis is on the right-hand side of the graph. Usually the axis is on the left-hand side of the graph, and even if it's not, we assume that the graph is traveling from left to right. So Nish says that the graph is going at a 45-degree angle upwards, but in actuality, it should be going at a 45-degree angle downwards, which means that the more time you spend with Nish, the less fun you are having. And if that is not a more adequate description of Nish Kumar on Taskmaster, I don't know what is.
I feel like if Nish had just stood the other way, it would have been looked better on him.
If you inverted the image, it would be better. But that is
yes, that's it.
That is such a Nish Kumar thing, and nobody called him out on it either. Nobody called him out on it. Which I'm not sure if that's for worse or for better, but It's such a niche thing, because if you actually saw that in a graph in like the wild where the axis was going the wrong way, it would just feel wrong in some way that most people wouldn't be able to describe, because we read it right to left usually, not we read left to right, not right to left. But anyways, but on the other side, Arabic speakers and and I believe Japanese and maybe Mandarin do read right to left, so that would be possibly accurate. I don't know. Do you know? Leave an answer in the comments or email us at ytsnpod@gmail.com.
Arabic speakers do read right to left.
And Japanese does too, but I'm not sure about anywhere else.
I think Japanese might actually be...
Japanese is
Japanese is vertical,
and up and down. Yes, but I think you read the characters like right to left as well. Japanese is... Arabic's Asian scripts are... I don't understand how they work because I didn't learn to speak them, because I grew up in a country that speaks English. So if you do know that answer, though, please do leave a comment. Email us at ytsnpod@gmail.com or track down Emerson and tell him yourself.
Yeah, anyways, all right. It's got to the point where it's just like, if you come across me in the street, you might as well just harass me for answers, is what Joe's saying. And honestly, it's got to the point where I wouldn't blame you.
Yes, and anyways, continuing on to Mark Watson. His is the biggest. His is a whopping 60 by 60 meters, which is like how 90 times 90. That's like 8,100 square feet.
I'm just looking at my dad's Instagram. Because my dad left to go on a week-long physical expedition of Norway, and he's wearing what I can best describe.
Did he not go with you?
Oh no, he went by. He's gone with a group of his friends.
Okay,
he's been. This isn't a family holiday. He's been training for about
a physical expedition to Norway. What does that mean?
Well, he flew to. It's across Norway. My bad.
Your dad is walking across Norway.
Well, he's not walking. He's taking various means to get. He's travel. It's not all the way from like top to bottom. It's like maybe 100, 200, maybe a bit more than that. Dad, if you're listening, because I know he listens to this podcast. Sorry if I cocked it up that bad, but yeah.
But anyways, onwards to Mark Watson. Mark's is obviously the biggest graph in the show. It is 60 by 60 meters, which is something like, I think that's like 90 by 90 feet, and that is 8,100 square feet. And his is a graph of how people have voted over all time in England over time, which he did label it, but it was done in the sand, and I couldn't read it very well. They took a picture with a drone, so the picture was a little low res. Very small dots made out of little plastic balls at the bottom are all that's on it, which indicate people. Greg has a great soundbite, which if we can play right here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, on this, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, light entertainment show, what you've produced is a graph that shows the pointlessness of democracy.
So yeah, that's a on this light entertainment program, indeed. And then Sally, we get again a very Sally Watson graph. The Omnipurpose.
You mean Sally Phillips?
Yes, a very Sally Phillips graph. The Omnipurpose Jaws of Doom, which is a 2-line graph, which I'm sure there's a name, and I would love it if someone told me what that actual name is. I'm calling it the Omnipresence Jaws of Doom, and I'm going to work tirelessly to change that in scientific nomenclature. Anyways, the axes are, I believe the horizontal is time, and the vertical is sex. The lines, therefore, there's one that's going down, that first goes up and then down. That is get, and there's a line that's continuing to go up that is want, which is clearly indicating that Sally wants more sex in her life. Greg mentions this, and Sally agrees, leaves, and makes a motion with their hands, because the entire audience is laughing, so I can't hear what she says, that appears to motion the rest of the cast to come back with her, because Greg asks, we should sit down and talk about this, and then she just walks, she says, yep, my work here is done, and then makes a motion that seems like she's propositioning the entire cast of Taskmaster, which, very on brand for Sally Phillips, if that's what she was doing.
Probably was.
Then we have something that's very on brand for Aisling B. Everyone's perfectly on brand with these. Aisling is a graph of how many women have been on Taskmaster. The graph, it's like women, and then is on the horizontal axis. No, women's on the vertical axis. Seasons is on the horizontal axis.
The x-axis is the horizontal axis. The y-axis is the vertical one.
I took a statistics class many times ago, and I don't remember most of it. But anyways, the problem with this graph is that, first of all, that it starts way off at the top end of the vertical axis, which is not how that goes, because while Taskmaster does have many women on it, season 1 notably only had woman on it, Roisin Kennedy. And so it should be, the men should be higher up and the women should be lower down and should be bouncing around. I think the most they've ever had on a show is 2 women at any given time.
Up to this point.
Which, obviously you could have more for gender equality purposes, but, at that point we're getting more into a statement on the number of women in comedy in the United Kingdom, which again, not going to get into on this light entertainment program. But Aisling's is wrong because it's all the way up top, and she is called out on it by Alex, and Aisling has to sit there and say, I'm going to be called out quite rightly by 2 men saying that my math is wrong. The general consensus of everyone is that she has now set women back somewhat.
Yep.
Then finally, we have Bob Mortimer. Okay, I need to set this scene just a little. Bob's graph is depicted unlabeled. We have no idea what the fuck it's about. It's very... there's a couple of balls down at one end, down on the left-hand side. There's 3 balls, if I remember correctly. Then there's a pair of ping pong paddles, then a towel, like a rolled up towel, then a mannequin, then a pool noodle stuck on the end of a rake. And so it's taller than the mannequin by a lot. Now, I thought that the pool noodle and the mannequin was actually the physical line of the x-axis. It is not. The picture, the captions appear, and it is immediately the funniest fucking thing you've ever seen, because the actual x-axis is units of urine produced per person, and then the z-axis is British counties. At one end, with the little balls, you've got stuff like Cumbria and some other places like that. And then at the other end, you've got Dumfries and Galloway. And apparently they produce a lot of piss per person in Dumfries and Galloway. By almost a 10 times margin than the next county up there. Everyone is fucking dying, as Bob explains this. Nothing, he just says things, and none of it even makes the slightest hint of making sense, but he just keeps on talking. Apparently the people in Dumfries and Galloway cannot stop pissing for more than a few moments at a time. In the world of Mortimer, he apparently learned this fact because he was in dispute with the owner of the Woolwich Ferry, which I believe is just the City of London, and he decided that that he was trying to acquire large quantities of urine so that he may fill the boat with piss. Greg Davies comments that if he were to die and the last thing he remember was Bob Mortimer trying to harvesting piss from in order to exact revenge on a man who owned a boat, that would be it. And that is one of those hilarious moments of this show. Onwards to the scores, because that is the last graph. Onwards to the scores. Mark, Aisling, and Sally, Greg gives joint third to. Bob gets second, and Nish is first, a rare form for Mr. Kumar. Also, notably about Mark Watson, Greg has already forgotten what Mark's graph was actually about. Now, if we do want to drop the Taskmaster Joe theme right here.
Taskmaster Joe.
What
have you got to say for yourself, Joe?
Aisling's last. Graphically incorrect, therefore last place. Mark's fourth place. That is what we call in the business as too much fucking information to present on a graph. Get it smaller and make your point. Nish, third place. It's really funny because it's wrong, but it's only wrong in a certain way. Sally, second place, because Sally Phillips, horny on Maine, very on brand. I like that. It's really funny. Then we have Bob Mortimer. Bob's graph sucks. Don't believe it's accurate, but that is the funniest shit I've seen in a while. If it wasn't for Nish, for the audible thunk of Nish's coconut hitting the pole, I'd say that's the funniest moment in the episode. So, because for all we talk about Song for a Stranger being one of the best tasks in this episode, I'm going to go out and say that the funniest moment in this episode is Nish hitting the pole with the coconut, followed by Bob trying to explain why his graph is the way it is. So Bob gets first. Anyways, now we have a solo task. On to you.
On to me indeed. Now, I'm not really going to be able to talk much about this task because I might as well just let the sound bites speak for themselves. But nevertheless, I'll introduce the task. Make the most fish puns in 1 minute. And this is only for Sally. She has to wade out into the middle of the pond. And remember, I'm sure I put the name of the pond down somewhere. The Frensham Pond, which is where they filmed the graph task, and of course the Get Alex to Shore task in the very first episode. She wades all the way out into the middle of the pond, and she has to make the most fish puns in 1 minute. I'll just play the soundbite of Sally doing it really quickly.
Puns. Stop carping on. Can't do this. Can you make lots of fish puns? I trout it. I trout it very much. I've got my herring in a bun. My herring in a bun. I can sing a rainbow trout, sing a rainbow trout, sing a rainbow trout too. He's not very tuneful. Me no understand English. I thought it was jellyfish, angelfish. Send in the clownfish. That's not really a pun. Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie.
She manages 8.
I would like to note that Sally Phillips is a professional comedian, and she could only manage 8 jokes.
Well, to be fair, though, coming up with puns is harder than you might think, because...
I mean, I just do them for the halibut, so...
Oh, you absolute cunt. You cunt.
Uh-huh.
If you were sitting in front of me, I would launch myself on you.
And that's... Hook, line, and sinker, eh?
Yeah. I was going to make one myself, but my brain has just gone blank.
You threw me off my game, man. I had a couple lined up.
Oh,
Now
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. A couple lined up.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
No,
you need to know you need to know your place.
It's not a fish, is it? Is it?
Yes, it is. Place. Plaice. Google it. I'm not going to explain.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I do my jokes on porpoise most of the time.
You know something, Joe? I could probably do this podcast without you.
Nope. And it's a shame I'm such a basshole.
Hey, the new Justin Timberlake song, Stickleback. I'm bringing Stickleback. Them other boys
really,
don't know how to act.
Really, that's the joke you were going for, and not there's a new Stickleback album out.
I mean, that came to my head first.
Okay.
Welcome to your Time Starts Now Taskmaster podcast, where we have a whale of a time.
Yeah. Whales are mammals, not fish.
I hate you. Can't you just let me... To be fair, though, you can make the claim that Alex's dolphinately pun doesn't qualify.
No, I was going to say, porpoises are not fish either. So really, Alex made that pun too, which we haven't even gotten to that part of the podcast yet, that part of the task yet.
Anyway, Sally was up against Alex to see who could make the most fish puns, and we get a montage of across the series, some of which of Alex making fish puns, some of which didn't even seem to make the final cuts of their original episodes.
And one of which, the porpoise joke, actually happened earlier this episode, which is the only time, I think, to date at least, that someone's actually gone up against Alex, which is, as just a bit of a throwback, the original idea for the Taskmaster show, before they decided to do it in this format, was to actually have Alex as the Taskmaster doing each task correctly, before realizing that was a stupid idea because it would limit how, before it limited them to tasks that theoretically could be done correctly.
It's quite difficult to tell with timing because we've had to split this episode in two. Anyway, Alex, I'll play Alex's soundbite of doing all the fish puns.
We've been doing this for about 54 minutes.
I don't want to cup on about it, but I'm worried that they might be construed. Congratulations. It's a lovely place, though, isn't it?
It's a beautiful place.
And you used a tuna baked beans. I can get you something to perch on.
Yeah.
There are 3 tasks in a row for you there.
Okay.
Let me know when it's close enough.
Isn't it?
Oh, I've already got a haddock.
Just.
How do you feel?
Fine.
Okay, I feel a little bit tense, but fine.
Fine.
That was very official. I haven't got very good hearing. But I think I heard you okay. I'm sorry, but I've dropped the task. Not on purpose, but I've dropped it.
Anyway, there's Alex's fish puns. He doesn't tell all... I'm going to be very, very technical and say he didn't tell all those in 1 minute. He told them over the span of several months. I
was actually thinking, if you had time to actually... Alex had time to do this. He could have come up with that. But although, at the same time, the fact that he only managed 11 fish jokes over, 3 months is, in itself, somewhat poor.
And we've come up with some good ones that he didn't use as well.
Yeah, we've come up with some good ones in a minute while laughing at each other, but this is yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, when Alex started his fish puns, the net began closing in on Sally.
And some of those jokes he was really trawling for. He really had to trawl the bottom of the barrel. Nope, that one doesn't work. That's not a good one. That one was a reach.
Minnows more than you think.
That was Sally's funniest joke, the minnow one. And you could tell because the entire audience started laughing at that. But Sally never noticed that that Alex was doing this. She just thought that it was she just thought that he was bad at speaking.
Which is the natural go-to in that scenario.
Yeah. Which, imagine now that if somebody actually watched this, we're going to have to be watching Alex for like the rest of the time to see if he does this, and it'll turn out to just be a red herring the whole time.
Oh, dear.
I can make fish puns. Fish.
You've baited
Trout.
me out. I've had enough.
Mm-hmm. These puns are gold. Fish.
That one was lame. I'm sorry.
I know. Nope. I have a couple other fish jokes, but they would take long walks to get to the punchline.
Fish don't have legs.
No.
Do you mean I would long swims is what you mean?
No. I was talking more about taking the listener of the joke on a long walk to the punchline.
Like the why the long face joke.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you, I once heard someone make a horse why the long face joke, but it took them over an hour and 45 minutes in 2 parts on a charity live stream to get to that point. It's still one of the best jokes I have ever heard because it did take an hour and 45 minutes.
Should we go to the final VT task of the series?
Yes, we should. This one's my favorite task.
I think it's a lot of people's favorite task because it truly completes Nish Kumar's character arc. Only to have it crushed immediately in the live task.
I mean, that live task was stupid.
I honestly wish the live task hadn't happened.
The live task was actually like so. It built itself up to be more than it was. We'll talk about it in a second, but I think the picture of Nish that just encapsulates him in the season is his graph. And that's like an encapsulation of Nish Kumar, which is that he has confidently done it correctly. And it actually seems to make sense. And then if you apply even one bit of knowledge, you will find out that it is actually just an idiot. Yeah.
Please can we talk about this?
Yes. Anyways, this task is write and perform a song about this woman. Best song wins. You have 5 minutes to talk to the woman, then 30 minutes to write her a song. Your time starts now. And the woman's name is Rosalind. She is...
Are you going to go through every single detail about her?
No. I'm just going to give the bullet points. Questions asked to her by Bob include, do we strike you? What is your favorite meat? Would you like to be able to fly? And have you ever stolen anything? Answers to those, no, we don't strike her. She only eats kosher meat, her favorite of which is chicken. She does not want to be able to fly, and she occasionally stole sweets as a child. Other things to note, she plays the cello. She's a Japanese translator. Her husband is named Alan. And weirdly, she likes the Hangover movies, the first 2 Hangover movies, as her favorite films.
With Ken Jeong, who we love so dearly.
Yes. Ken Jeong as... God, I can't remember his character's name in that movie. But, like, I get Hangover Part 1 is actually a pretty good film. But out of all of cinema? Really?
People are weird sometimes.
Rosalind is a fucking nightmare. But anyways, they don't show the songs being written, which, I'm much more upset about now that I have seen the rap battle segment from season 2 of Taskmaster New Zealand. But I am but it is I understand why they didn't do that. They decamped to the yard where the Taskenbury Festival has been set up.
Yay,
First,
Taskenbury.
yes. Hello, lady.
The most awkward introduction ever.
I love that one. That is such a fun joke to make.
It's funny because it's awkward.
Yeah, I know. The ending right there, it's great. It's one of those jokes where like removing part of the sentence makes it work. Like the go-karts didn't. Is grammatically correct and very funny.
Anyway, first to take the stage are Mark and Nish, also known as the Diverse Stripes.
And Nish introduces himself as Jack Brown. And do you get that joke?
No,
Emerson?
do you?
Yes. This whole thing is a play off of the White Stripes, which is headed by Jack White.
Oh, okay.
Nish is making the joke out of the fact that he is the brown man.
Oh, God.
I'm not quite certain what the joke about Mark is. I'm assuming it's a joke about one of the other members of the White Stripes. But again, if you know better than I do, please leave a comment below or email us at ytsnpod@gmail.com. Or find someone or if you're in Norway right now, find Emerson's dad and harass him.
I mean, he'll be out of Norway by the end of this week, so...
If you're in Norway between like when this goes up on Thursday and when Emerson's dad leaves Norway at presumably Oslo Gardermoen Airport, harass him and tell him our one Norwegian listener who probably watches Kongen Befaler a lot more than he does Taskmaster, which anyway, I would love to
shall
cover.
We play I Try My Best But It's Never open brackets good enough? What was the song called?
I thought it was shit. I wrote it down as Always Seeing You Do Cool Stuff. That's what I thought it was called.
Always Seeing You open brackets do cool stuff.
Do cool stuff. Yeah,
that's the song. Anyway, should we just play the song and let it speak for itself? Okay,
yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever on Your Time Starts Now Taskmaster podcast,
live on tape from Taskenbury
from several years ago. It is the Diverse Stripes, Jack Brown and Mark.
And 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah, I saw you translate a poem from Japanese. It looked so tricky, but you did it with ease. I saw you judging long jump at the athletics. I felt so low cause at sport I'm just pathetic. I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best but it's never good enough. I saw you watch The Hangover DVD, but I was busy with The Hangover Part 3. I saw you listening to the Mozart Symphony, but my attention span is, hey, look at that tree.
2, 3, 4.
I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best, but it's never good enough. I wanna serve you beans on toast, but it's a fantasy, it's nothing but a boast. You come from Southport, I live miles away in Balham, and I'm a coward and I feel the wrath of Allen. I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best, but it's never good enough. Good enough.
One more time.
I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best, but it's never good enough.
So good. Honestly, it's
oh my
so
god,
good.
I love it so much.
I felt like this was like a Lennon-McCartney moment. Like
maybe
when John Lennon and Paul McCartney would write for the Beatles.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely very surprising considering that that I've never seen Nish or Mark do anything in terms of actually writing or performing music before this, and apparently neither had Alex.
So yeah, when they bust this, Alex cannot believe his ears.
Yeah, he considered it a minor miracle that Nish could play guitar.
Greg genuinely has nothing negative to say about Nish. So yeah.
And then we go on to the POC, which are the products of conception. I bet you Sally came up with that name.
Bob asked a lot of questions in the interview process. He asked,
yes,
do we strike you? Have you stolen much? What's your favorite meat? Would you like to learn how to fly?
Yes, all of those come up. I don't think the Learn to Fly one comes up, but yes, this song is called Quite Good, Considering.
Yeah. And shall we just play it as well?
Yes.
Rosalind's a nightmare. Rosalind is from Southport. Rosalind's so sweet. Rosalind was a newsagent, but you won't eat meat.
Unless it's chicken.
Rosalind has two sons, they are good men but inept. Rosalind is a thief, but it keeps her out of debt. Rosalind, geriatric athlete, she's just quite far for a woman of her age. Rosalind is an average cellist, she plays quite well, but not in front of people. Rosalind married Alan from her string quartet. Fiddling with her friends, you know that is how they met. The great thing about Alan could not be dreamier, but the viola player sadly, well, he contracted septicemia. Rosalind's a fucking nightmare. She's just like fun for a woman of her age. Rosalind is an average cellist. She plays quite well, but not in front of people. Not in front of people. Thank you. That's for you, Rosalind.
I would
Hilarious.
also like to say that it's even funnier when you consider that they're apparently filming this one on a very windy day.
And
so
the backdrops and the sign fall down, and Alex is just like running around.
Also, notably, Rosalind cheers for the POC as they come out, which she did not do for the Diverse Stripes, which makes me think that Rosalind is a fucking nightmare was the song she was shown first.
Oh,
and
I wish they showed Nish's and Mark's song after the others, because that would have just been such a nicer moment.
It would have been, but at the same time, showing Rosalind is a fucking nightmare after the very nice song that Nish and Mark did is so funny.
I don't find... I love the song. I think it's hilarious, but for me, it's not really laugh out loud funny.
It's not.
To me, it's just overshadowed by how good Nish's song is, because it just represents such an important moment for Nish Kumar within the series that it just overshadows the other team. Like, I honestly couldn't... I'm going to be in an extreme minority of people who think this. I couldn't really remember what Bob Ashling and Sally's song was like.
Other than Rosalind's a fucking nightmare? Yeah.
Because...
No, I see that. It's just that the actual... in this show, people don't care as much about the song content as they do about the absurdist comedy.
That's very true.
And so it's a little more on that level. Like, the song is not great, and the scores in the episode reflect that. I've never heard a song use septicemia as a lyric before, and that's usually because songs don't use stupid ass words like septicemia.
Well, I mean, when Eminem was, I hate to say this, actually, do I dare say this? Because people who stan Eminem really hard, pun entirely intended.
I think I know what you're getting at. When Eminem was at his prime, he made a lot of words rhyme with each other by changing how he enunciates and stuff. And that's absolutely true. But it not in a manner like this. This is not the way to do that.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Eminem hasn't really. Obviously, I love Eminem. I think he's one of genuinely the best rappers of all time. And seeing him perform with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre at the Super Bowl was amazing.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl halftime show.
Oh no! Well, basically, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre sang the next episode, which is the whole meme song that goes da 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 da. That one.
No, I know what it. I just didn't watch it because I do not like rap as a genre. Really, fair. I'm not a huge fan. I understand that Eminem is very skilled, but I just don't care. I mean, what limited rap I do is like Macklemore and Run DMC and that sort of stuff.
Anyway, Eminem's a great rapper, but so the scores are dished out. Actually, I didn't write the scores down.
So the diverse stripes get 3 points apiece, and the POC get 2 points apiece.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't write down the scores for Sally's fishbone task, other than that Sally doesn't get anything. And Alex now somehow finds himself on the leaderboard with 5 points. And for once, Nish Kumar is beating someone.
Yes. Alex is briefly in on the screen before Greg makes it go away.
And I mean, to reference Taskmaster New Zealand again, Taskmaster New Zealand does this really interesting thing where in the first series, someone gets half a point and it stays on their scorecard for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And in the second series, because there are some scores that they wait a while in an episode to determine the scores. So for a while, the scores just have question marks below them.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I honestly can't wait to cover Taskmaster New Zealand. Maybe that will be Patreon content.
Hyped.
Maybe that will be Patreon content. Anyway, we can't now come. I just want to talk about, we've been on such an emotional roller coaster this episode with the diverse stripes and the POC. You honestly, if the episode ended there, it would have been amazing. They could have dished out the prize task, and then our winner could have got the trophy. But no, we need to add an anticlimactic live task that sort of ruins everything. Well, it doesn't ruin everything, but it sort of ruins the flow of the episode.
Yeah, it's really, the problem is, so the task in total is throw your egg through the hoop and catch as many times as possible. You may not touch the net or post. Most successful hoop catch combo wins. You have 100 seconds and 1 egg. And when I read that, and when I saw the basketball hoops and the nets and everything, I thought that there was, like, my first thought was, oh, this is going to be fucking chaos. And then it wasn't. And
like
that's
3 people got their eggs smashed immediately.
Yeah, but the problem is that I think because they had everyone with their own hoop, if they just had one single hoop, they could have had a lot more like chaotic opportunities for this. Like, I'm imagining like other people like swatting at each other. I think that because it's specifically how they did, because everyone had their own hoop and net, and they were just like all separated from each other with little partitions, it made it a lot less interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
So
sorry, I get hella distracted when we record these things.
No, that's okay.
Anyway,
no, this one there's not a lot to talk about because, like, Nish, Sally, and
Aisling, Mark, and is it Sally or? Well, Sally. Spoiler alert: Sally wins the episode, so she has to get some points here. Aisling, Mark, and Nish will break their eggs immediately and get no points, and then after one or 2 or 3 goes through the hoop, Sally breaks her egg, and Bob is the last person standing. So Bob gets 5 points, Sally gets 4, and the others get 0, meaning that Sally pips Bob to the top post for the episode
by 1 point.
Takes home all the awkward things. So now, shall we reveal the series scores?
Yes,
in all.
drum roll sound effect, please.
I won't play it for comedy's sake. In last place, on 107 points...
Well, I think you mean actually in last place with 5 points. Alex Horn.
Oh, yeah, the secret sixth competitor. And 102 points ahead of him is Nish Kumar.
Yes.
On 107. And then next up from Nish is Aisling on 126. Joint second, Mark and Sally on 130. But on 138 points, our fifth Taskmaster champion is Mr. Bob Mortimer. Woo!
Yay!
Another series comes to a close. Thank you, Joe, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to record with me.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, just notes to conclude this with. Sally does go up there. She sits in the bathtub on the stage and kisses Aisling's portrait. Greg yanks off Alex's shirt in one smooth motion, which I think is great. Nish cannot believe it when that happens. And then we have a bit of a interesting music sting at the end because they start to play the Taskmaster theme and then they play something that's not the Taskmaster theme at the end. And
that's very true.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so we're going to take a 3-week break for because me and Joe have a couple of things to do. I have some essays to finish, and we're also going abroad. Well, I'm going abroad. Are you going? You're not going abroad, but you're going away.
My brother's wedding is on the 2nd of April. So if you are in Miami, Florida, and you happen to hear my voice, please be chill about it. But you can come say hi if you happen to know where I am. And then
we will return on. Are you comfortable with this date? April the 14th?
No, not at all.
You can't do that date?
No, I'm not uncomfortable with that date. You said uncomfortable.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to come back in here. We will return on April the 14th with the first episode of the Champion of Champions 2-parter, and the second part of that will come out 1 week later on April the 21st. And then we will be taking a short break after that before we do Taskmaster USA. Anyway, I've been Emerson.
And I've been Joe.
And to lead us out on an amazing note, please welcome back to the stage the Diverse Stripes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
And 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah.
I saw you translate a poem from Japanese. It looked so tricky, but you did it with ease. I saw you judging long jump at the athletics. I felt so low cause at sport I'm just pathetic. I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best but it's never good enough. I saw you watch The Hangover DVD, but I was busy with The Hangover Part 3. I saw you listening to the Mozart Symphony, but my attention span is, hey, look at that tree.
2, 3, 4.
I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best, but it's never good enough. I wanna serve you beans on toast, but it's a fantasy, it's nothing but a boast. You come from South, but I live miles away in Balham, and I'm a coward and I feel the wrath of Allen. I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best, but it's never good enough. Good enough.
One more time.
I'm always seeing you do cool stuff. I try my best, but it's never good enough.